Hey everyone, it's Carissa at Sprinkled with Glitter, and today I'm creating a card project using this Thinking of You stamp set from Big Picture Classes, as well as the Stitch Border 1 die from Pretty Pink Posh. And I'm going to kind of make a banner, and I want to add that stitched border die as kind of a deboss piece on the front of this card. So I'm going to use that die to do the embossing, and I'll bring in my Big Shot here, and I'm going to set it up just like I would use an embossing folder with paper, but instead of the embossing folder and paper, I am going to add this silicone mat and then add my paper and my die with the blade side down. It's really important that you put the die with the blade facing towards that silicone mat. That silicone mat is going to take some of the pressure away from the die and keep it from cutting through and just allow it to press into the paper, and it's a really cool effect. And when I get that all set where I want it, I'm going to add my top cutting pad and just run this through the Big Shot machine. Now I'm going to pull it out of the Big Shot here. It's kind of hard to see. I did get a picture of it, but and you can see that at the end of the video and over on my blog as well. So I'm going to create this stitched line again, but I'm kind of crisscrossing these over. And like I said, it's kind of hard to see in the video, but you will be able to see it in the pictures on my blog. While I'm here, I'm going to use the coordinating die set for that Thinking of You stamp set, and I'm going to cut this little circle out of some masking paper. Now, I didn't end up actually using these like I thought I would. I thought I was going to have to mask off some of these pieces, but it was beneficial in planning where I could do my stamping. So I'm going to position these and kind of figure out where I can do all of my stamping. I will end up stamping 3 of the different circles across that top line, and then the other one that intersects, I'll stamp 2 of those. And I'm just using these like they're the strings of this banner that is on this card. So I've grabbed a few of the different circles from the stamp set, and I'm starting out with some pale tomato ink and the solid circle from the stamp set, and I'm stamping that right along that stitched border that I debossed into my paper. Now between each of these, I'm going to go ahead and clean my stamp set, my stamps off so that it's ready for the next color when it's time to go. And now I'm moving on to the striped circle, and I'm going to ink that up in the soft cantaloupe ink and stamp that on that line as well. Now, I really like this stamp set because there's so much that you can do with all of these circles that are in there. You can make balloons out of them, you can do a banner like I'm creating, you can make little flowers out of them, and I think it's a really versatile stamp set. This is available over at the Big Picture Classes store. And it was created for the class that I'm teaching called Card Basics. And Card Basics is exactly what it sounds like. It is the very basic fundamental techniques that you need to know to get started in card making. So we go over the tools that you need, some basic stamping, making card layers and card bases. So if you are new to card making, I highly recommend you checking that out. So I've moved on to some Butter Bar ink and then some Hero Arts Lime Green ink, and I finished off with the Hero Arts Tide Pool ink, and I've just kind of varied those different circles with the patterns and the colors there, and they all follow those sweeping lines that I created with that border die. And you can see there's the finished, you can kind of see the debossed lines there. So now that I have this all done, I wanted to add a little bit of sparkle. So I'm taking my Wink of Stella clear glitter brush marker, and I'm just coloring over the top of all of these different circles, and it just gives it a little subtle shimmer when it's held up in the light. It's kind of hard to see in the video, but in real life it's a really cool effect. So now I have this Happy Stamp and Cuts set from Hero Arts, and I'm kind of playing around with where I think I want my sentiment. If I were to do this again, I might position my banners up a little higher and do the sentiment on the bottom, but for the positioning of these banners, it makes the most sense to put it up at the top. So I'm going to mount it on my Fisker stamp press, and then I'm going to ink it up in some VersaFine Black Onyx ink. I love this ink for stamping sentiments. I always have really good results with the VersaFine Black Onyx ink. The only thing that you want to keep in mind is that it is a pigment ink, so you want to make sure that it's nice and dry before you go handling it because you can smudge it. So I'm just positioning that there, and I'm using the lines on my grid mat as well as my stamp press to kind of make sure that I have that perfectly lined up. And then I'm going to take the little birthday greeting that goes along with this stamp set. I love that there's all these different kind of greetings that you can create using that one big bold word and then the little words underneath it. And I've prepped the 43-pound Ellen Hudson vellum, which is my favorite vellum, with a little EK Success powder tool. And I'm just stamping that birthday greeting onto the top there with some Versamark ink. And then I'm going to add some Ranger Superfine Detail embossing powder in white. And then I'll heat set that so that I can have that greeting completed. Now I thought I would originally wrap this around, but I end up doing something a little bit different. So I'm going to take this over to my trimmer and trim this down into a really thin little piece here. And like I said, I thought I would wrap it around the edge of the card and just have it come over that Y, but I thought it would be fun to kind of create a slit and have it go behind. So I'm just using my craft knife to cut right along the inside edge of that Y. I just kind of made a little score line and just kept trimming over and over again until I got it cut all the way through, and then I could push it in there. And then I folded it over in the back. So it's kind of coming out from that Y. It's kind of just little something different that you can do. You can always wrap it around as well. I just thought this would be fun. And I attached it along the back with a little tape runner adhesive. And I thought I would just kind of hide a little dot of glue behind it, but I decided that a sequin would be the perfect place to hide some adhesive and kind of add some foam adhesive behind that birthday banner greeting there. So I'm just taking various sizes of these pretty pink posh sparkling clear sequins. I have the 4mm, the 6mm, and then these are the 8mm. I just got these and they are the big mamas of the sparkling clear sequin world. And these are just one of my favorite embellishments because they go with just about anything and they just add some subtle shimmer and shine. So you can see here I'm just kind of positioning a piece of that foam adhesive right behind that little banner that I created out of vellum. And then I'm going to attach a sequin right over it. Now these little circle foam adhesives from We Are Memory Keepers, they are the sticky thumb adhesive. They are the perfect size for hiding right behind a 6mm sequin because I do it quite often. And I'm going to finish off the card by positioning a few of these sequins kind of just coming down, and it's adding a little bit of sparkle there. Now I have some left over on my desk, so I'm just going to kind of push them aside until I can put them up later. And I'm going to create a mat for this to sit on. So I'm using the large stitched rectangle die from Lawn Fawn. This is the largest rectangle in the large rectangle set. And I'm just running it through once again with that vellum from Ellen Hudson, my favorite vellum, and it's just going to kind of create a stitched bordered rectangle that fits perfectly on the front of my card and just kind of add a fun little extra layer onto it. My card base I created from some Nina 110-pound solar white cardstock. It's cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and I've scored it at 5 1/2, and I'm just using my Teflon bone folder to reinforce that crease. And then I'll add some tombow stamp runner adhesive to this vellum just in the middle so that you don't see any peeking out from the edges, and attach my card front onto that vellum. Now I wanted to add a little bit of lift behind this, and after watching Jennifer McGuire's video on foam adhesive versus the fun foam, I am totally sold on using the fun foam behind these large pieces of like the card fronts and that sort of thing. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend that you check it out. I will link to it here as well as over on my blog. And I am just adding some score tape to this fun foam to attach it to both the card base and the card front. So I'm adding the score tape to both sides, and then I pulled off the release paper and I'm sticking it onto the card base first. And then I will pull off the release paper on the front side of that, and I will add my card front to that as well. And I'm just using my work surface to kind of line that all up and make sure it's all on there even. And that completes my card project for today. A really fun, colorful way to use the Thinking of You stamp set, as well as some ways that you can use your wafer thin dies to do some embossing on the front of your card. As always, I've linked all the products used in this project in the description at YouTube, as well as to multiple sources over on my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com, where you can see more photos and get more information there. Thanks for stopping by today. I really hope you enjoyed this sparkly birthday card featuring the Thinking of You stamp set. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day.